for Spiritual Living here in beautiful San Clemente. And happy Father's Day to all the daddies out there. Please join us on our first sing-along song, Karen Drucker's tune called God is My Source. Please stand up and join our fabulous song leaders over here. And away we go.
Whether you're a biological father or a stepfather, have just stepped into the role of a father, each one of you has made a difference in this world that is absolutely priceless and such a blessing, so thank you. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Karen Allen. I am one of your staff ministers here at the center, and I welcome each one of you here. Whether you're here for the first time, the 1,000,000th time, your presence here makes a difference. And we are so blessed that you have chosen to be with us this morning. We are a center that honors all paths to God. And so therefore we start our service with the lighting of the flames of faith. We perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples and all faiths, all sentient beings, come from the one great universal presence, which we call Spirit. Fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here today. We light the candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light the candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the candle for Islam, honoring the path of compliance with the will of God as the highest calling. We light the candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the candle for all forms of New Thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. And as practitioner Joanne Leone lights the last candle, let it represent the path that brought you here this morning. And please join me in prayer, knowing that no matter what name, no matter what faith, no matter what belief, there is only that one almighty presence, the Alpha, the Omega, the all, life itself. It is pure existence and pure love. And we are each its expression. Each one here is a divine extension of that one, living, moving, breathing all of its attributes, now and forever. And what I know is that this service is already in the arms of that divine. For each one here receives the gift, is uplifted, is connected to that source. We are each living, moving, and breathing it in all that we do. And I know that by means of this time together, that realization comes more and more into the forefront of our being. And that as we listen, as we sing, as we laugh, as we hug, as we love, we are just more and more in that realization of our oneness with that presence. And in that oneness, we are uplifted. We are brought to a new level in consciousness, in mind, and soul. And what a gift it is. And so I give thanks for it. I give thanks for every beautiful soul here today. And for this absolute amazing power that makes everything so. And so I let go. I know it is done. And please join me in saying, and so it is. And now we have Aidan Greeny up here to announce our Declaration of Principles. Thank you.
So please join with me in our Declaration of Principle. I believe in God, the one who created intelligence, operating through the universe and throughout my entire being, now and always. I believe this perfect spirit operates upon the law of mind and creates my experience exactly according to my belief. I believe this perfect creative intelligence can be used by me and by every other person to produce health, abundance, and love in mind, body, and total life experience. I use it now, and I rejoice in it, and so it is. And now our affirmation. Let's say it together. As I listen with an open heart and soft eyes, I find truth as unexpected dwelling places until I remember there is only one of us, and so it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Aidan. Please welcome our soloist today, Harold Payne.
This is from that album that you so generously gave to your family. There's a deep feeling in the bottom of your soul that only your heart understands. Everybody's got a little love inside to give away. All you really need is a chance. Time is wasted. You don't have to wait another minute to let your dreams take you to the limit. Shine on, shine on. Open up and let your light shine on. Oh, oh, shine on. Oh, oh, shine on. Open up and let your light shine on. Even if you never had a moment in your life when you were free enough to let yourself go, it's okay to take a little leap of faith sometime. How will you ever know? Time is wasted. You don't have to wait another minute to let your dreams take you to the limit. Shine on, shine on. Open up and let your light shine on. Oh, oh, shine on, hey, hey, shine on. Open up and let your light shine on. Break out, break through. Break out, break through. Break out, break through. Ooh, ooh, ooh. The world is waiting for you to share the gifts that you've been given. It's never too late for a new beginning. Shine on, shine on. Open up and let your light shine on. Oh, oh, shine on, hey, hey, shine on. Open up and let your light shine on. Let's break it down now. Open up and let your light shine on. Sing it with me now. Open up and let your light shine on. A little louder. Open up and let your light shine on. Let it shine on. Open up and let your light 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 shine on. Thank you.
Thank you, Harold. That was fantastic. I know. We're matching. I love it. So my message this morning is creating meaningful conversations. And so we're starting with the most meaningful conversation of all, and that is spiritual mind treatment. So practitioners, please come line up. You don't really get a conversation with them. What you do get is you get to ask for whatever it is that you want prayer for. And the prayers will be fast. And just, I know we all know each other, but just in case there's a bring gasp. No, I'm coming in there. Say your name, please. When you stand in front of the practitioner, tell us your name and what it is that you want spiritual mind treatment for. All right, I think we're ready. Thank you, practitioners. You may be seated. Thank you, everyone, for maintaining that sacred space and holding that place so that each one who wanted a prayer could get one. And don't you love the feeling of the energy in the room?
Yes.
Yes, me too, me too. So, of course, it is Father's Day, and as Reverend Karen said when she welcomed you, Happy Father's Day. that is for everyone, men and women. When it's Mother's Day, I say Happy Mother's Day, men and women, not just women. And so same thing with Father's Day. What we're honoring really is the divine masculine, that presence that chooses, that one that knows and knows that it knows and is choosing. So in the creative process, it's spirit, it's conscious mind, it's that thing that is making the decision, that is saying yes to life. And so the meaningful conversations that maybe we had or didn't have with our fathers or father figures, or that masculine essence in our home, those meaningful conversations, maybe, since I'm seeing most of us are well past puberty, wasn't too insulting, was it? Maybe it's time for us to have those meaningful conversations with the self, with ourselves. Maybe it's time for us to let go of any idea that the past wasn't perfect, and also that the past wasn't complete. It's complete. Right now, it's complete. Amen. It's done. And so many good things. I can think in my own life, my dad and the things that he taught me, the things that he stood for, the qualities, the values that he espoused and lived by. Wonderful to have a dad like that. But was he always there for me for meaningful conversations? No, not really. Neither of my parents were, which had a lot to do with me, which had a lot to do with who I am as far as being forthcoming. But those meaningful conversations are really what we're called as adults here, not just in the United States, but everywhere, to be aware that we're part of the whole. And that all sides, all points of view, every culture is valued and valuable, that each one has something to contribute, that everything is revealing the wholeness of life, of reality. The book of the month is a book that I was really resisting because I thought it was going to be really political, and it isn't political at all from my point of view, if you read it with the right consciousness. It's called A New Republic of the Heart, and ethos for revolutionaries, okay? So that was what, I don't know if this is going to be good. Terry Patton is the author. He is a colleague of Ken Wilber, so that's the integral dynamics thing that when we went to AG&T, we loved to go to what they were talking about. This book is a really good book. He's talking about the need for conversation, meaningful conversation, among people who do not think the same, among people who have different points of view, come from different backgrounds, have different cultures, how important it is that we all understand that where and how we grow into the wholeness that we are is by listening to another point of view that's different from our own. And so having a meaningful conversation means, first of all, that when we're having a conversation, we're not just waiting for our turn to talk. We actually might learn something from whoever said something first. So a conversation is a flow of ideas, and not just, oh, okay, well, I'll wait until she is finished speaking, and then I get my turn to say what's really true. No, because you haven't been willing to really listen. It's so important that a real, meaningful conversation is a conversation in which both people or all people grow. They discover something that they didn't know. They discover something about themselves and about the other person. And what a better world we'd be living in if we were all willing to do that, to just take a moment and say, I wonder what's going to happen here. I wonder what's being said. I wonder what her point of view is, his point of view is. Instead of, sometimes we just look at people and we make decisions. I know you don't do this. Some people might look at people and make decisions. That's a person that I'm not going to get along with. That's a very opinionated person. That's a very narrow-minded person, or that's a way too liberal person for me. Whatever it is that describes an other. And one of his main thoughts here is the world, not our planet, but we live in a wholeness, a unity, a oneness, which means that every single part of it is essential. So you can put your hand on your heart and say the word of truth, I am essential to the whole. I am essential to the whole. And so is everyone else. And so is everyone else. See, that's the really great thing. And so is everyone else. And I learn and grow by having conversations with people who don't look the same as me, who weren't brought up with the same values that I was brought up with, that have different religions, different cultures, etc. Anyway, one of the things he suggests, and especially on Father's Day, I think this is appropriate, is that the whole idea of the hero's journey is a really important idea for both men and women, that we each are on a journey, and each one of us has that hero within. And on our journey, we will encounter difficulties, maybe even dragons. And maybe even we need to slay these dragons in order to live a better life. That's the hero's journey, basically, right? You go from adventure to adventure, and you do whatever you need to do. It won't be comfortable, it might be dangerous, it'll be exciting, and then you can feel happy that you have acted from your values, from the great part of you. And Patton's idea is, he said, we need new stories. We need a new mythos. We need to be able to look at life and say, okay, is there another kind of hero? And he has some stories. So I'm going to tell you one of the ones that I really liked. It's an old story. See, the thing about mythology, if those of you who are Joseph Campbell fans, know that those stories are bigger than a current culture. They've lasted for thousands of years, been retold orally, told and told and retold, because they have a universal message. So this is a Norwegian story, and I just thought about my grandpa. My next door neighbor, my grandpa, of course, was Swedish, and his next door neighbor was Norwegian. You would think, being two Scandinavians, they would be good friends. Oh, no, no, no. That darn only he could, they both were just always finding fault in the other. That's the culture that they came from. And I love them both. Anyway, because my best friend was the Norwegian's granddaughter. So, okay. This story is, as I said, from Norway, and it is in this book. And the story was that in the kingdom, the young prince couldn't marry until the dragon, the royal dragon, had his wishes honored. And so the royal dragon got to choose a woman for his mate. And of course, he went through the royal dragon would find this young girl, they would get together, and then the young girl would disappear. And that happened until there were no young girls left in the whole kingdom, at least in the urban part of the kingdom. So they went out into they thought, how is the young prince ever going to get married if all of the young women are gone? So they went looking, and they found a young farmer's daughter out of the city area. And they said, it's so important, would you please meet with the dragon? And the dragon its name was a lingworm. And she thought about it, and she said, yes, I will. But you must give me a year and a day before we meet. A year and a day. She then went out into the forest and came to an old woman and asked the woman what she needed to do. Now she might be disappearing like all these other women, and probably a fate worse than death. And the woman, the old crone, told her, make 10 white nightgowns and embroider the bosom and the heart of each nightgown so that it's beautiful but will fit perfectly over the one underneath it. So 10 would be worn one over the other, And so she did. She made this. She spent many, many hours carefully embroidering these nightgowns. So she put a lot into it. And then came the day of the mating, and time for bed, and she said, okay, well, I'm going to take off my clothes and you take off yours at the same time. So she took off the first nightgown, and she encouraged him to take off his first skin, and second nightgown, his second skin, third, fourth, fifth, right up to 10. So now he was without any protection. He was naked as she was. And, the important part of the story I left out. The woman had told her to get also a pail of lye and a pail of milk for the day of the mating. And so and some switches. So she did. And so once he was naked, the dragon, she dipped the switch in the lye and beat him. And of course, lye really stung. And then she dipped the new switch, in the milk and soothed him. And then the next day, the villagers were wondering, what's going to happen? And they opened the doors of the chamber, and there they were lying in each other's arms. The dragon had turned into a prince. And there they were together. Okay. So why is this a myth for our time? Because right now, there are things that we're called to do that we don't know. We can't make a plan. It's never been done before. It's never been accomplished before. And the first step is to say yes. And then the second thing is that it may take you a great deal of time, a year and a day. I think that's like 70 times 7 is in forgiveness in the Bible. A year and a day means a long, long time. And what do you do in this long time? You use your creativity and your love to create these nightgowns, this clothing. So it turns out in this myth, even though it's a myth for men and women, it's about the feminine side. And the monster that seemed to destroy all, turned out to be very loving and lovable once all of those defenses had gone. But so all of the removing of the clothing is the removing of the things that would protect. So I can imagine the dragon had no scales at all and was now vulnerable, had nothing to protect itself with. And maybe that is the myth of our time, that we go into conversations knowing that there's in this wholeness that we're safe, that there's only one, and that we'll be guided to exactly the right thing to do at the right time, and that our good is already assured. Our good is already assured. And that thing that seems so treacherous, with enough love, is just a part of ourselves. So think about the conversations, not with other people, but for now, think about the conversations with yourself. And think about the monster within. Think about that thing that is part of you that you'd rather not have part of you. We all have it. Many writers call it the dark side of the soul, our dark side. But it's the part that doesn't want to be seen, wants to hide. It protects itself. And what if, with enough love, that part of us can transform into this loving prince, into this loving aspect of self? Those conversations. So, we look at what do we look for in the father figure, or in ourselves as that chooser. And I think there are 4 qualities that come to mind, also influenced by this book, let's say. The first one is authenticity. And then the writer says, the interesting thing about authenticity, if you say you're authentic, then you're probably not authentic. So in order to be authentic, you have to tell the things you don't want to tell. It's a real big conundrum to me. It's like, the second thing that we want is for that person, for us to be and know that we're accountable, that we are the ones that are creating our lives, no one else. Mom and Dad did the best they could do, and they did a great job. But who's doing it from now on? I am. You are. We're creating our lives because that's how we live life. Fully, consciously, completely. That is the whole science of mind, that we know that our consciousness creates. And it creates because of the words that we speak about ourselves and others. Because you see, there's only one. So it's like the wonderful affirmation that we started with, to remember that whenever I see anything out there, it's really me I'm seeing. I'm really seeing only myself. Okay, so authenticity, a reliance on principle, and the other 2, are escaping me for the moment. So maybe they're not important. It's possible that they're not as important as I thought they were. Either that or they're part of that. I had a conversation earlier this morning, and it came out of part of my experience yesterday. I think each one of us, on traveling our hero's journey or heroine's journey, has certain things that keep recurring. And we could look at those things if they're part of our physicality, a tendency for something. It's usually a weakness. And in relationships, it might be the same kind of relationship over and over and over again. The same thing in business, the same kind of superiors, bosses, supervisors over and over and over again. The same thing in health. So something. And I guess I could think of that as that monster that I really would prefer not to have at all. But I have it. So the reasonable thing to do, although last night after having one of these, my thing is with my digestion, and it disappoints me at the worst possible times. So, well, the thing, I thought, okay, well, I could just quit eating. I could just not eat, I could just drink water, and then my digestion has to be fine. That's probably not a really good answer. I could just stay home. That's probably not a really good answer. Or I could stand up and tell the truth. My issue is my digestion, and I may have to leave at a moment's notice, or less than a moment's notice sometimes. So if that is the monster within, if that is the monster within you, and of course you have your own thing, you don't have my thing, you have your own, whatever it is, imagine that thing is now stripped of all of its scales, of all of its protection, of all of its ways of staying hidden. It can come up to the surface and be loved, be accepted, be treasured, and be, and just be. Okay. So that may have been number 3. And number 4 is going to have to wait until next week. Oh, by the way, next week, I did want to tell you this. Next week, it's not going to be a message like this. It's going to be questions and answers. So you get to decide what question you would like answered by me, and you get to write it down, and it'll be all the questions that I get next week will be answered. That isn't what it says, but I have something special to do next Saturday night, so I am going to give myself the freedom and permission to have a different thing than what it says in your program. So what it says in your program is something else, but what it's going to be is questions and my answers. Or I might ask you questions and you answer, but it'll be a really good Sunday. All right, so meaningful conversations. We can have them as a group, but that means that you have to say something too. We can have them in dyads. We can have them in families, and what a great day to remember that you're part of a family. And not only are you part of a family, a biological family, you're part of a spiritual family. And after service, please take the opportunity to connect with people, especially someone that doesn't have the same values as you. Or maybe you don't know. Maybe they do, maybe they don't, but they look like they don't. Have a conversation with that person. And let it be a meaningful conversation where you learn something, about them, and they learn something about you. It's a much bigger, better reality when we remember that there's really only one of us. And so it is. Okay, so we're going to pray. This is what I know is true. I know that there's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is whole, complete, and perfect right here, right now. It is that without beginning and without end, that which is ever, forever taking form from the formless, that which is the knowingness of spirit, that which is that conscious chooser, that which is the divine masculine, the Father within. So we know it is the Father within that doeth the work. And it is that presence, that power right now, moving through me, that is me. And I speak this word in the first person for everybody, beginning with myself. This is what I know is true. I know that I am enough and that there is enough. And I know that since God is my source and every aspect of myself is God in expression, there is nothing that's too hideous about me, too terrifying about me, that it needs to be hidden. It is all simply God as form, God as personality, God as goodness. So at a greater level and depth than ever before, I accept this presence that I am. I accept the wholeness, the goodness, the greatness that God is as me. I accept that this one is forever creating my body temple. And every cell, every ligament, every function, every particle of this body is God in expression, and therefore it's built in wholeness, knowingness, awareness of perfection, of beauty, of intelligence, of infinite knowing, infinite awareness, infinite goodness. And furthermore, I know that this one is financial freedom. It is the ability to do and be whatever it is that I choose to do or be. That there's plenty of substance, plenty of support for all of those choices. And furthermore, I know that that thing itself is divine love. First of all, loving the self, and then seeing that same self reflected back to me from everyone else, and seeing that love magnified and expressed in greater and greater ways. Love grows in my heart, grows in this community. And also I know that that creativity that is God in expression is that divine mind as me, that one that opens to the brand new ideas and the impulse of spirit within. So I do walk the road less traveled. I take the step without knowing how it's going to end. I go down the path trusting that this life is a good life, it's a God life, and I'm so very grateful for it all. So with my heart filled with thanksgiving, knowing that gratefulness is multiplying all of the good that I have spoken, so that there's more than enough, not only for myself, but for every being everywhere. I just simply let it be. It's done. And please help me. And so it is. Wow, Harold Payne.
I know some of you might have seen me writing some things down, but I like to infuse something from the talk at the beginning of the song whenever I can. I have my capo, set it down somewhere. It's in my pocket. There it is, okay. Pardon me. I have to make sure it's in tune. When you put a capo, this is a capo. Some call it a capo. And sometimes it makes your guitar go out of tune, but I don't think it did this time. We'll find out. I'm gonna do a rubato. Remember the innocent questions you asked as a child and listened with bated breath to what your mom and dad had to say. It was the beginning of meaningful conversations that we've been dragging along with us still today. And when we peel the layers away, and hopefully it won't take a year and a day. Little girl looked in her father's eyes and asked a question that could only come from a child. Daddy, are there angels, and do they really fly? Will I know one when I see one? This was his reply. Oh, angels don't always wear wings. They live inside your hopes and prayers, and they dance around your dreams. They echo from the silence of quiet acts of kindness. Oh, angels don't always wear wings. There are little miracles that happen every day that never make the headlines, make a difference anyway. Do you remember how your grandma dried your tears when you thought the world looked hopeless? Then she'd magically appear. Oh, angel, don't always wear wings. You live inside your hopes and prayers, and they dance around your dreams. They echo from the silence, quiet acts of kindness. Oh, angels don't always win. There are moments in our life when we may not realize that we're in the presence of God's messenger of love. Oh, angels don't always wear wings. They live inside your hopes and prayers, and dance around your dreams. They echo from the silence, quiet acts of kindness. Oh, angels don't always wear wings. Angels don't always wear wings.
I saw you making those notes. I love that song. If the stewards would come forward, it's time for us to share our gifts, our tithes, our offerings. And during this time, the children have something to give all of the men or women, because it's the divine masculine. I know they've been told to give to the men, but we have plenty. And you can share. So we're going to read our prosperity affirmation, then we're going to say, keep a couple of minutes in silence, seconds in silence, with gratitude. Okay, my offering is my acceptance of God as the source of my supply and symbolizes my faith in the abundant flow of this supply. like to thank those people who are in service today or have been this week. So if that's you, please stand so we can give you a lot of love. And then if the practitioners remain standing, the practitioners are trained in the art and science of affirmative prayer. And if you want your life transformed, make an appointment with one of these people. You'll be so happy you did. In service today, we have Dave Friedman, Joanne Leone, and Aiden Greeny. And let's acknowledge our practitioners. If you're visiting us for the very first time, we have a gift for you, and all you need to do to claim it is to indicate that's you. Either stand up, raise your hand, lift your little finger in the air or something. And then we're going to affirm you. So there's some information in that bag about us, and also a card that if you take to the bookstore, you'll receive a gift of your choice. So, congregation, please repeat after me. Welcome to our center.
Welcome to our center.
You are whole, complete, and perfect just the way you are.
You are whole, complete, and perfect just the way you are.
There's nothing that needs to be fixed.
There's nothing that needs to be fixed.
Great just the way you are.
You're great just the way you are.
Welcome home.
Welcome home.
And let's acknowledge our visitors. Yes, we have some announcements.
We do. Conscious Connections will meet today at noon. If you'd like to join a small group discussion about today's service, please join Mary Brogdon and others right here in the sanctuary. And just a reminder for the practitioners, we have a meeting as well.
This week at Wednesday's Wisdom, Reverend Karen Allen will present Practice, Practice, Practice. Come at 7 p.m. and find out what the heck she's talking about and bring a friend.
Practice, practice, practice. That's how they got so good. So on Sunday, June 30th, our friend, the fabulous Kelly Corsino, will be here to present a keynote concert at 12 after the service. And this is a workshop-style concert, and it'll help you find your voice and find yourself while discovering success in all areas of your life. So it will be presented on a love offering basis, which is a real gift because this is normally quite a thing. So this is a special treat for our center. So if you don't want to miss out on the opportunity, come on the 30th.
Save the date on Sunday, July 7th at high noon. Hiroya Sakamoto will be back here to share his amazing gift of music. His beautiful soul pours out through his music and his storytelling. What a great way to spend a Sunday afternoon. This is also presented on a love offering basis.
And beginning tomorrow night, it's the 17th, Mary Brogdon is leading a new book study based on the book Return to Love. And there is a sign-up sheet on the kiosk for that.
Starting on July 9th, Reverend Karen will be facilitating the accredited class Exploring the Roots of Science of Mind, and I'll be there too. This is a 10-week class and will meet on Tuesday evenings from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. It is required if you are on track to become a licensed practitioner, so please sign up at the kiosk.
And starting on Thursday, July 18th, Reverend Dr. Roger Julien is presenting an 8-week accredited class, Igniting Your Life with Bible Wisdom. And this is devoted to the spiritual wisdom found in the parables of Jesus that will discuss techniques to interpret the Bible metaphysically, as well as recent historical research on the Bible. Very, very interesting. So this will meet on Thursday nights from 6:30 to 9:30. I'll be there too, so sign up on the kiosk. You want to do that?
Today's flowers are from Diane Hennessy to celebrate all fathers, both living and those who have transitioned. Happy Father's Day, dads.
And just a reminder that after the service in the back of the room, Harold Payne, the fabulous Harold Payne, you can take him home with you via CDs only.
I think that would make a great offer.
No limits, there you go. And now, our children.